registry is
Well,
that?
it's just a simple question on the registry because
What registry?
you're, well, basically the Crown Registry, and you have a birth certificate, right?
I do?
Well, we all have one, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, and it has a legal name on it, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and that legal name is actually registered or copyrighted by the Crown, so any use of copyright, wouldn't that be fraud?
Oh, I don't think it'd be fraud.
Why not?
Well, yeah.
Well, as a lawyer, you have entitlement with the bar to use that copyrighted name, don't you? As a legal name?
Yeah, this isn't the area of the law that I've practiced a bunch, so I'm probably not much help to you.
Well, you do real estate registration and land transfer and name titlement, don't you?
Sort of land transactions, yes.
Yeah, but don't, as a member of the bar, don't you have copyright rights to the legal name?
To my legal name?
Yeah, because I don't, because I'm not a member of the bar. And if I use something that's copyrighted, am I not committing fraud?
Well, you would breach the copyright laws if you use somebody else's copyrighted material.
No, even my own legal name, because it's copyrighted by the Crown, isn't it?
Not that I know of, but that's not the area that I practice.
Yeah, but as a lawyer and having, access to the bar, you have copyright to a legal name. Is that not correct?
I don't know. I don't know the answer.
You don't know that, and yet you're a member of the bar? Isn't that one of your,
I'm sorry, I gotta go.
That's one of your privileges, isn't it?
I'll talk, yeah. I'm not going to continue this conversation.
Well, why? Yeah, it's just a simple answer.
What you think about that? This is going to be quick. I just want to jump in here. I will be coming tomorrow with a very important bill, as always. If not, it'll be Monday because I definitely have to get on TikTok. I will be reading this short story of information, so let's get right into it, guys. I know it's late and an unexpected build. I actually wasn't going to, and I just decided to because I wanted to lead into some other information for tomorrow. So let's go. Let's see.
Who's here? Was it a witch? A boy, no stories fascinated me so much as those that told of witches and fairies roaming through the green forest. Under the form of deer, and long after the illusion of fairyland had been dispelled, I listened in wonder to the hunters who told me of invulnerable deer supposed by them to he witches. Few game localities indeed are without such traditions. Now I'm not going to emulate Mimehausen, but I array a short space to record a very singular case of impregnable buckskin. Last summer was enjoying the amenities of Four Mountain Resort in an neighborhood frequented by deer. Through the kindness of friends living nearby, was enabled to indulge my fondness for the chase. To be brief in detail, one rainy day found me stationed at a runway on top of a long ridge. The deer were driven by dogs. Let no arrogant still hunter sneer, for I must tell him that if he hits a deer flying through the red brush in September, he will have to do better work than he learned at still lie hunting in open woods. At my side stood Jim. Jim is a little deaf, and only watched to see me shoot, so he said at least. Nevertheless, Jim carried across his shoulder his well-beloved Hannah. Aunt Hannah was a remarkable specimen. She was about 6 feet tall, and in her capacious double stomach she carried an immense quantity of powder. Buckshot. Jim said she was perfectly safe, but death to ear. A few minutes brought the welcome cry of the pack, and in an instant I heard the brush cracking as I had never heard it before. A 5-pronged buck rushed heedlessly toward us. It seemed to me another bound would bring about a collision, but before I could raise my gun, Aunt Hannah burst forth with a roar like the bolts of Jove. The buck turned at right angles, and I fired twice. Did we kill him? Said Jim. Yes, I said. He dropped in that brush. Connelled I but paint the painful disgust depicted on Jim's face when we discovered that the buck had not dropped. If he had only waited a second, said he would have jumped right into old Hannah's mouth. One of my shots was too low, the other should have hit. No trace of Jim's buckshot could be found, and I think they are still traveling through illimitable space. Jim, however, expects to recover them when the deer is killed. Not more than a week later I stood upon the same spot. Being alone I was sure of game. Imagine my surprise when I saw the same identical buck rushing through the brush again.
Hold on, guys. I'm gonna forward
Getting
this.
in range as Lal most swore near to underscore moreover,
Okay.
in my experience at Sycamore, SSEEA South Carolina Resort. TE birds south of Chester, 8. Euro. Have not suffered underscore much during this cold winter. We found them quite plain about there, and also at Somerville, 22 miles north of Searston on the South Carolina Railroad. If any of our friends are near this point they can be sure of good sport, and if fortunate enough to obtain board with Dr. White, near the depot, will have the best of fare and a comfortable home at reasonable prices. Woodcock, snipe, and quail in seasoning he found within 2 miles of his house, and deer and WID turkey within 5 miles. Never shall I forget the drives through the pine woods in the deep, worn road filled with water, under the drooping branches that shut the sun. Light and made welcome shade. We went 6 miles to Goose Creek, one of the branches of the Ashley River. Here the major, who had come all the way from Chester, had promised to show us most magnificent snipe and woodcock ground. True to his word he did so, and the welcome copyright mark and report of the gun greeted our cars in less than 10 minutes after disposing of our lunch under a big live oak. On our way back he told us to look out for deer and turkey, and presently a large buck started in front of our most enthusiastic sportsman, who had prepared himself for just such game by loading spiral shells with buckshot. When his attention was called to the buck, he says, he attempted to tokenage his shell, but from his description of the animal afterward we all doubted him, but believed he had a bad attack of buck fever. He was willing to bet or swear that it was all white, weighed 300 pounds and had a tail as long as his arm. The next day we returned to IHE same vicinity and engaged some drivers to jump deer for us, and in less than 1 hour after the dogs were let loose the Sioux gentleman shot his first deer, weighing about 120 pounds, of a dun brown toller and with a tail about 8 inches long. As the darkies express it, you can most always find them here, especially JF your dogs roll over in going into the woods deer. Shua.
I stepped
You
away,
cannot
guys. I'm
always,
sorry. This is still on
however,
the part about getting to.
by the
Hold
name
on.
them. WSS
Okay.
Taprace and Duo KXSE. Now we have
I'm gonna
were
get to the
IL not for the
statehood
miserable
part.
and destruct
I think it's on
eventually
the
be
next
thon
page,
again
damn it.
0 forest and a test game law decision. Stream 1.
This
To
one talking
Kago,
about the game.
A
Hold
CII
on.
become merged in the mat. The armament upon the part of the state was briefed to evidence
Okay.
TLE following
Let's start here.
propositions,
Let's
viz.
go get to it.
First, that game of all kinds is the property of the state, and that the state has full power to protect its property by statute even to the affecting of commercial relations between the
said
various
that?
states, and that such law will not be unconstitutional, unless the opposition between it and the Constitution be clear and plain. Second, showing that the highest courts in the states of New York and Missouri have decided a similar law to be constitutional. Third, that the power of Congress, under the Constitution, to regulate commerce among the several states, 15 not
The several
exclusive.
states.
Fourth, that Congress haying for over a century failed to pass a game law, IB may reasonably be inferred that a national role is not required, and in such a case the side may act. Fifth, that the states haying always protected fish and game, the acquiescence of JHE federal government admits their titlets so ta do. Sixth, that the states can better control this question than Congress. Seventh, that Congress has no power over the subject. Ninth, that this law can be upheld under the police power of the state. Ninth, that goods contraband i.e. loot contract cannot be the subject of an IXL contract elsewhere. 10th, that the comity of states requires each to assist the other in preserving its game. 11th, that guinea and fish are of great importance for the country. 12th, that the quail were bought in Kansas when such purchase was then and there prohibited, should not be received as a defense 1m the courts of this state. 13. That the practice has become general by which courts of justice examine into and enforce contracts mad plus in offer states, and carry them into effect, according to the laws of the place where the transaction took its rise, subject only to the exception that such contract should not either in itself, or in the means used to give it effect, work an injury to the inhabitants of the country where it is attempted to be enforced. 14th. That even if another state was bound to permit the sale of the subject of contract in the hands of the importer, it was not bound to furnish a market for it, nor abstain from the passage of any law which, if may deem necessary to guard the health or property of its citizens, although the effects of such legislation might discourage importation. The opinion rendered by the Supreme Court sustains these arguments. It is so comprehensive and so important that we publish it entire as printed in a Chicago paper. Srats or I.Newers, Supreme Court, Northern Grand Division. At a Supreme Court, begun and held at Ottawa, on Wednesday, the 7th day of September, in the year of our Lord 1880, within and for the Northern Grand Division of the State of Illinois. Present, Honorable T. Lyle Dickey, Chief Justice, Pinckney H. Walker, Justice, Bench R. Sheldon, Justice, Alfred M. Craig, Justice, John Schofield, Justice, John M. Scott, Justice, John H. Mulkey, Justice, James K. H. Sull, Attorney General, Ruffna C. Stevens, Rev. Everell F. Dutton, Clerk. Be it remembered that afterward, to wit, on the 3rd day of February, A.D. 1881, the opinion of the court was filed in the clerk's office of said court in words and figures following, to wit, Janes Magner, Y.S. The people of the state of Illinois, appeal from Crim, N.A.L. Court of Cook, * County. Opinion by Suwarab, J. The grounds upon which it is argued the judgment below should be reversed, are, ist. Beck News. The statute does not condemn the possession or sale of quail taken and killed beyond the limits of the state, which is subsequently shipped into the state for sale. 2d. Because, if the statute shall be held to condemn such possession and sale, then in its enactment, so much of 13, art. 4, of the state constitution as requires that the subject of every act shall be expressed in its title, was disregarded, and hence it is not law. 3d. Because, if the statute is free of all other objections, but shall be held to condemn the possession and sale of quail taken and killed beyond the limits of the state, it is void, and not jaw, for the reason that it is in contravention of the 3d clause of 8, of art. 1 of the Constitution of the United States, which confers upon Congress power to regulate commerce with the foreign alien and among the save, Errol by its degree fay will be oximenad in the order stated T and 69a, ist. The first section of the statute under consideration makes it unlawful for any person to lure, pursue, kill, or trap, net or ensnare, or otherwise destroy any quail or October. No exception. Session unlawful will more certainly prevent any possession or any sale of the game within fee state than will a law allow. This is but one, offered for sale. The title of the act is an act to revise and consolidate the several acts relating to the protection of game, from the views expressed under of this state. The policy of the common law was to regulate and control the hunting and killing of game, for its 2 decans coms, 182 people er. Rel. Y.S. Lowenthal et. Al. 98 DID 191, Johnson Y.S., The People, ad ID 451. 8d. No one has a property in the animals and fowls denominated game until they are reduced to possession. 2 decans coms, 8th ed. 416 cent e sec. Cooley on torts, 485. While they are untamed and WT large, the ownership is said to be in the sovereign authority in Great Britain, the King 94 Blackstones coms, Sharswoods HD. 40,910, but with us in the people of the state. The policy of the common law was to regulate and control the hunting and killing of game, for its better preservation, and such regulation and control, writing to Black Swan, belong one of the police powers of the government. 4H, Sherwoods, WD. 174, Bofra PS we are Kunra, if has never been judicially donived. IFRRBSRY 24, 1881 that the government, under its police powers, may make regulations for thy preservation of game and fish, restricting their taking and molestation to certain seasons of the year, although laws to this effect, it is believed, have been in force in many of the older states since the organization of the FAI. Aral government. On the contrary, the constitutional right to enact such laws has been expressly affirmed in regard to fish by Massachusetts, in Burnham v.S. Webster, 5 Moss. 266, Nickerson versus Brackett, 10 ID, 212, and by Indiana in Gentile Y.S. The
Gentile.
State, 29 IND 409, and in regard to game by New York, in Phelps v.S.
It says Nickerson versus Brackett, Indiana 212, and by Indians in Gentile. Indiana in Gentile versus the state. Indiana and Gentile versus the state. And in regard to the game. Well, let's go. Chief Marshal, here this thing go. Jeez. So annoying.
Aral government.
Okay.
On the contrary, 206 Racy, Supra, and by Vermont M. State versus Norton, 45 Vermont, 258, and upon principle the tide is clear he ownership being in the people of the state the repository of the sovereign authority and no individual haying AV property rights FOB affected it necessarily results that the legislature, as the representative of the people of the state, may withhold or grant to individuals the right to hunt AUD kill game, or qualify and underscore restricted, as in the opinion of its members will best subserve the public welfare. Stated in other language.
Do you think it's strange that the government is so interested in hunting and gaming and the birds and the quails and the crows and the why are they so effing concerned about these things? Because is this a way to maybe say, hey, these are public lands? The government orchestrated public lands and, they're trying to conserve or put under conservatorship, right? Or put under what? Trust, right? The conservatorship of the state with agriculture and land management. What does that mean? Come on, guys. Y'all stand with me, right? I hope this thing ain't stopped.
Hunt and kill game is a boon or privilege granted, either expressly or impliedly by the soiler #IGN authority not for right inbring in each individual, and consequently nothing is taken away from the individual when he is denied the privilege, at stated seasons, of hunting and killing game. It is, perhaps, accurate to say that the ownership of the sovereign authority is in trust for all the people of the state, and hence, by implication, it is the duty of the legislature to enact such laws as will best preserve the subject of the trust and secure its beneficial use in the future.
Hold on. Let's run that back.
The people of the state.
Let's run that back.
But in any the killing game, it is, perhaps, accurate to say that the ownership of the sovereign authority is in trust for all the people of the state, and hence.
So it says that it's safe to say that the ownership of the sovereign authority is in trust for all the people of the state. Well, damn, if the sovereign authority is in trust for all the people of the state, where's the censorship or the town hall meetings that are going over the authority of the land that's being managed by the public government? Saying that it's land management and it's under the trust. It says for the people, but if it's for the people and it's under a sovereign trust, why do they have all these licenses? You got to have a hunting license, you got to have a fishing license, you got to have I think there's a license to hunt damn birds, ducks, any type of thing you want to do. You have to have a particular license for that, right? All this going into the state, so each state governing the rulership of the land management in the states, right? the land that ain't got shit to do with them, and they managing it and saying that it belongs to them, telling you what to do, what you can and can't do. But even in their own, by their own documentation, they say that it's the ownership of the sovereign authority, which is in trust for all the people of the state. So why would you be paying for a license? Why would you pay for a hunting license, a fishing license? That's just, my thinking. But let's go.
By implication, it is the duty of the legislature to enact such laws as will best preserve the subject of the trust, and secure its beneficial use in the future to the people of the state. But in any the question of in AAA enjoyment is one of public policy and not of private right. Our attention has been called to no law of Congress, and we are
Not
aware
private.
of none, in regard to the transportation of game. Still, if this law may be regarded as a restriction open
I'll be right back.
interstate commerce, that is of no importance, for it was held in Welton vs. The State of Missouri, 91 U8. First Auto, 276, that the non-exercise by Congress of its power to regulate commerce among the several states is equivalent to a declaration by that body that such commerce shall be free from any restriction. The inquiry then arises, is the prohibition of the possession and sale of game as enacted in this state a restriction of interstate commerce? In Gibbons Y.S. Ogden, 9 Wheaton, at page 203, Chief Justice Marshall classifies as belonging to and forming a portion of that immense mass of legislation, which embraces everything within the territory of a state, not surrendered to for general government, all which can be most advantageously exercised by the states themselves, inspection laws, quarantine laws, both jaws of every direction, as well as laws for regulating the internal commerce of a state, and those which respect turnpike roads, ferries, and he adds, no direct general power over these objectsis granted to Congress, and consequently they remain subject to state legislation. So in the Daniel Ball, 10 Wallace 464, the court sued, there is undoubtedly an internal commerce which is subject to the control of the states. The power delegated to Congress is limited to commerce among the several states, with foreign nations, and with the Indian tribes.
Oh,
This
the Indian
limitation
tribe and foreign
necessarily
nations?
excludes from federal control all
Mhm.
commerce not thus designated, and of course that commerce which is carried on entirely within the limits of a state, and does not extend to or affect other states. And upon this, the power, and he adds, no direct general power over these objectsis granted to Congress, and consequently they remain subject to state legislation. So in the Daniel Ball, 10 Wallace 464, the court sued, there is
564.
undoubtedly an internal commerce which is subject to the control of the states. The power delegated to Congress is limited to commerce among the several states, with foreign nations, and with the Indian tribes. This limitation necessarily excludes from federal control all commerce not thus
Who gave
designated.
them the authority to regulate the commerce? Huh? Who gave them the authority to give the power of delegation to the Congress for them to say what's going on with the commerce out of our land and our goods, right? Doing this and regulating these delegations around several states with the foreign nations, all part of the foreign nation, because of what? Remember the Bretton Woods Conference in the United Nations, creating also these things with the embassies, right? All these embassies part of the foreign nations, which are what under the same designation of depriving and stealing from the American Indian, and with the Indian tribes, right? Let's go.
And of course that commerce which is carried on entirely within the limits of a state, and does not extend to or affect other states. And upon this principle, in the United States v. DeWitt, 9 Wallace 41, it was held that statute of the United States, making it a penal offense to mix naphtha and illuminating oils, was beyond the legislative authority vested in Congress, and it was said, but this express grant or power to regulate commerce among the states has always been understood as limited by its terms, and as a virtual denial of any power to interfere with the internal trade and business of the separate states. TN the celebrated license cases, 5 Howard 604, JAWS prohibiting sales of liquors except in large quantities
504.
and under. Stringent regulations were sustained as within the police power, notwithstanding they interfered indirectly with interstate commerce. C.H.J. Taney said, these state laws act altogether upon the retail or domestic traffic within their respective borders, they act upon the article after it has passed the line of foreign commerce, and become a part of the general mass of property in the state. These laws may, indeed, discourage imports and diminish the price which ardent spirits would otherwise bring. But although a state is bound to receive and permit the tinnel by the importers of any article of merchandise which Congress authorizes FOB imported, it is not bound to furnish a market for it, nor to abstain from the passage of any law which it may deem necessary or advisable to guard the health or morals of its citizens, although such a law may discourage importations or diminish the profits of the importers, or lessen the revenue of the general government, so, upon like principle,
Lessen the revenue
it
of
has
the
since been
general
held that
government.
if a measure of police regulation, looking to the preservation of public morals, a state law entirely prohibiting the manufacture and sale of intoxicating liquors is not repugnant to any clause of the Constitution of the United States. Bootmeyer versus Iowa, 18 Wall, 129. Bierko Y.S. Massachusetts, V7U5, 7 Auto 25. Very clearly this law relates only to the internal commerce of the state in the article of game. As in the license cases, it acts altogether upon the retail or domestic traffic within the state, and as there said so it may be said here, asterisk the state is not bound to furnish a market for game, and by parity of reasoning is not bound to furnish gamey for formar. E.t. And if would seem to be a legal truism, if a state may constitutionally prohibit the killing and possession of game during certain seasons, the prohibition of the transportation of game killed and possessed in violation of such prohibition cannot be unconstitutional. There cannot be a constitutional right to transport property which cannot, legally be brought into existence. The principle finds sanction in Munn versus Illinois, 94 U.S. 4 Auto, 118. Slaughterhouse cases, 16 Wallace 36, Fertilize N.G. Co. versus Hyde Park, 97 U5. 7 Auto, 659. The birds which are here admitted to have been brought from Kansas, 8 appears by the laws admitted in evidence by the agreement of the parties, were there killed and possessed in violation of a law of that state, and hence never legitimately became an article of commerce. There sent I8 no question here of discrimination in favor of the game of this by 8 as against that of another
That's
state,
right.
so as to apply the doctrine of Welton Y.S. the state of Missouri.
That's right. So you got to get your
And
family in
kindred
order.
cases.
Let's go.
Nor
That's
is there
right.
in R. Arco versus Aitchison, 9, U8. 5 Auto, 465, and other like cases, any question of the right to transport commerce from one state to another, for the 7th section of the statute expressly provides that, the provisions of this act shall not be construed as applicable to any express company or common carrier into whose possession any of the animals, wild fowls, or birds herein mentioned shall come in the regular course of their proceedings for transportation
What's
while
crazy
they are.
since you said that, and I'm gonna get to that right, and right after this, we're getting ready to go switch this. It's gonna be in the same document, but going into something I want to show you guys, as we read before about the woman having the the rights to the properties and things of that nature. A few things under that. So let's go.
In transit through the state from any place without this state, where the killing of said animals, wild fowls, or birds shall be lawful. And herein our statute is directly the opposite of the 6th section of the Kansas Act, which was held unconstitutional IR the state versus Saunders, 19 causes 127. There the prairie chickens were lawfully killed and lawfully became an article of commerce, and their transportation was prohibited. Here the quail were unlawfully taken and killed, and their possession and sale in the state were unlawful. But had they been lawfully taken and killed, their transportation to a place where they might be lawfully sold.
The prairie chickens were lawfully killed and lawfully became an article of commerce.
Could not be interfered with by the statute.
This is great.
The questions we have been considering were all raised in Phelps y.s. Racy, Supra. The opinion in that case, by the late Chief Justice of the Court of Appeals, is well considered and reaches the same conclusion at which we have arrived. The judgment is affirmed. Plus Experiano with the swab Rockingham, and C. Wiley in Arkansas a few weeks since an incident was related to me by a friend and confirmed by 2 other gentlemen who were present, which, as J have never heard of the like before, may he something new to perhaps many of your readers. My friend, while in Colorado LVST summer on a hunting excursion, was attempting one day to wipe out his Sharps rifle with an ordinary buckskin swab.
We're going to change
The swab
now.
became detached from the rod and remained in the
We're going
barrel
to
about
change this
5
up,
inches
guys.
from the
I
ND
wanted
of
y'all
the
to see
chamber.
how
Ineffectual attempts were made to drive
how
it out with
sneaky
an
and
iron
disgusting
rod,
these people are, right?
alternating.
Look and see how they just hey, we're gonna make a trust in this, and we're gonna put this under this particular the land management, all this the Bureau of Land Management office still in the land from the indigenous, creating the homesteads and reservations, and then the parks and recreation, parks and reservations, conservatories, all of these things, all public, right? All these things, but now we know that they say that these are all supposed to be for the sovereign use of the people, but they are funding from all these things, utilities, so on and so forth. It's just so much. Okay, wait, let me get to this. I want you guys to hear this story about Jack the engine, and we're gonna get on after that. If you're still up, I will be over on TikTok after this, guys. I was in the chat a couple of earlier, and I did say that I would come and do a live. I was requested to do something because I had been blocked on there. They love to block me. I was being blocked on there. Let me see. Where is this page 33? Let me see. I was blocked on there for 5 days, so I couldn't do anything or say anything. They're such a haters. Hold on, let me use the thing that now I want to pick up on everything with my mouse. Lord. Okay, 33. Is this 33? I think it's a page off. Okay, this is 33. All right, hold on. Let me find the part I'm trying to get to. Let me see. Session 4. Where is it? Dang, this might not be the right page. I hate that. I should have wrote the page down, guys. I'm sorry. Let me see. Let me see. Where is it? Dang, I don't see it. Where's number 4? Let me see if I can find it right here. Let me just put Jack and see if I pull up. It should be in here somewhere. That's annoying. Some of these pages, guys, it is really hard to remember everything. So let me see. Let me go down here. Okay. Let me see. Oh, it's the previous page. These pages are definitely off. Okay. I know I'm not tripping. It is 33, but 34 by the books thing. All right, guys, we're going to start with this story right here. Wait a minute. Dang it. It's doing too much. Hold on. All right. Now, let me see. All right. Let's see. Let's start here. I'm going to start here. This says 32, but it should be here. I know I just seen this. Hold on, guys. I ain't tripping. I'm getting distracted. Stuff going on behind my damn head, Lord. Okay, let's see. All right, let me see. It's on the page, but I'm not looking. Maybe this is the wrong page. I was looking for something else. This is the story I want to read. Because I want to read the one about the wife, and it's showing her being, well, I want you guys to hear it. Hold on, let me go back up. Okay. Okay, let me see. This is the right page. Why am I not seeing what I was looking for? All right, guys, we're just going to start right here because I'm going to do probably 2 pages and I'm about to get out of here. Yeah, go from there.
Very 10, 1881 high and the balance. I no account of what I killed with my shotgun. Frequently more than one knew what to do with. You can hunt on foot all day without getting them wet, which is different from most parts of Florida. The bottoms where the deer can be overlooked high the driver or huntsman, and not a deer that's jumped but can. He's seen climbing the hills on either sitlow, and rarely ever escapes unheard. On a stream leading into Bass Bay from the direction of the Dead Lukes I saw the first beaver lever saw in Florida. Something of these animals in my next Wanderer. At Trisnust Resort in Vashoil, Tennessee, Deo Will Irwin, one of our best amateur shots and anglers, has JNST returned from a 3 Montes sojourn at Guntersville, a small town on the Tennessee River.
Y'all. I am so bad.
This famous game country is of easy access by rail to Decatur, Olive, or Bridgeport, and hence NP or down the river, Guntersville being equidistant between those places. Quail is so abundant that hunters trap him #as a cheaper method than shooting them. In the immediate vicinity of the town are 7 large troys of wild turkeys. In the hills not many miles away deer are numerous.
This is not the book, guys. That was the part about the state. It was 2 things I want to show y'all. I thought I had the other book pulled up. And I thought that this was in here. Damn it. Let me see. Maybe I'm on the wrong page. Hold on a second. I wanted y'all to hear about this story about this, the wife. Damn it. Yeah, I don't feel like doing all this searching, y'all. Okay. I just wanted to tap in, guys, because I've been spending time with my family. I wasn't able to do a live for the last few days. I definitely want to get into another story, but I don't want to take all day looking now. I thought it was in the same book, but it is not. It's actually in a different book, and I do not have it pulled up, so I'm so sorry. But let me see. Unless I can find it real quick. Hold on, let me see. Let me look over here in this section, see if I can find the story. I really feel like it's not in this damn book. I thought it was in this book, but it's not. It's in a whole nother book. Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, guys. If you guys are familiar with TikTok, I am definitely going over to TikTok to go over some important stuff. So I want to save a little energy for that. I wasn't going to be long anyway, so when I find the story, I'll definitely read it or get into it tomorrow when I come back with this other part of this build. So peace, love, and bliss to everyone. Thanks for coming through. Just wanted to shout you guys out. I hope you guys enjoyed your family time. Relaxing, enjoying each other. That's what it's about. This is harvest season, harvest time for our people. This is what we're usually doing, getting ready, enjoying each other, putting things up, getting ready for the weather, things of that nature. So I hope you guys have been doing that, preparing yourselves and loving on each other. Until tomorrow, guys, peace, love, and bliss. And if you are up, come join me on TikTok. All right, I'm out.